Data types. So we should know the meaning of the chapter name. So in the chapter name data types, see we have two things. One is data, another one is type. Okay. So as we know, like the definition of computer. So that is, so computer is an electronic machine. See, better to call machine instead of device. Better to call machine. Okay, device is also correct. But if you consider individual thing like keyboard, mouse, monitor, printer, camera, these things we can put in devices category. Okay. But if you consider the complete machine, then better to call it as machine instead of device. So actually, from primary or high school, what we have taught is like computer is an electronic device. Yes, it is correct only. I am not telling it is wrong, but accurate answer, if I want to say, is an electronic machine. Okay, computer is an electronic machine that accepts input data. See, here we come across data concept that accepts input data. So, what is the meaning of data? Okay, before we go to the data type, we should know the meaning of data. Okay, because by speaking also we use these words. Data is not correct. See, best example is when you connect to the internet. If you are not connecting to the Wi-Fi, if you are connecting to your SIM, okay, that is network. So we'll call it as a data. So data is not on. So please on the data. So what is meaning of this data? Can anybody tell? Because many times we use these words data, information. Okay, information is not correct. Information is correct. Okay. See, one answer I got it as information. But data is not information actually. Data is not information. We use like that, but we don't know the correct difference. Without knowing the difference only we are using. In some cases we use data, in some cases we use information. And we think that both are same, but both are not same. Data is network, no, data is not a network. What is data? Information is not correct. Okay. What do you mean by data? See, in definition we come across, right? Computer is an electronic machine that accepts input data. See, whenever you go through the definitions, when you memorize it, you memorize the things after understanding that definition. Then it will be good actually. So because not only computer science subject, in all subjects you come across the definitions. See, first thing what we people do is we will memorize the definitions. Before you memorize, try to understand the definition. Okay. So here, the meaning of data is not information. Even though we use interchangeably, like in some cases we use information, some cases we use data, but both are not same. So I will tell you why it is there. See, computer is an electronic machine that accepts input. This is very important. Input means what? We are giving to the computer. Okay, we are giving instruction to the computer. We are giving value to the computer. Okay, we are giving value to the computer. When you type something from the keyboard, you are giving value. If you type your name, you are giving characters. When you type some real numbers, like if you want to type percentage value, okay, then you are giving real numbers. Like that, you are giving some value to the computer. Afterwards, computer do some operations. Okay, so that is the input. See, whatever you supply as an input, that is the data. Remember, it's not an information. It is the data, whatever you supply. That means, actually, when we consider the concept of data, we can say it is something like raw. Raw means with that data, we cannot do anything. That means it is incomplete. For example, best example if I want to give, if you look at the food, for example, rice. Okay, before rice is prepared, what we do, we will get the raw rice from the shop, right? So that is nothing but data. After rice is prepared, which is eatable, that is information. Okay, data is something raw in nature, with which we cannot do anything. Okay, it has to be completed. So in definition also it is incomplete only. Computer is an electronic machine that accepts input data. And then what? What is the next? Input data, processes it. So with this data, what the computer will do? It will do some action, will do some operations. Okay, processes it, and gives what we can say, gives an output, because in the other part of the definition we have accepts input data, so we have to say it gives an output. So this output you have to consider as an information. Here you should not say data. This output we should consider it as an information. Okay, so whatever we are giving for the computer, that is nothing but the data. Whatever we get from the computer, that is nothing but the information. See, this can be applied in many cases in real world also. See, if I am teaching, you are accepting my words, so you are listening, you are trying to understand the things, you are keeping in your mind, that is the data. And you write the exam, right? Where you write the answers, so that we evaluate, that is the information. Okay, in newspaper you see things. Whatever you see things in the newspaper, you should call it as an information, not the data. So to generate information in the newspaper, what those people will do, before one day, they will collect all the data. Whatever they collect from the world, okay, that is the data. And neatly we get that information as a newspaper. Okay, whatever the things present in the newspaper, it is the information, not the data. And whatever the things they have collected from the world, that is the data. So this can be applied in many cases. Okay, like in food also we can apply. So prepared food is information. Raw food is like data. Raw rice, it is a data. Prepared rice, it is information. So in this way, we can consider the examples. So computer is an electronic machine that accepts input data. So now we came to know about what is data. So data means what we give for the computer. Okay. Now if suppose, if I am typing value 5 from the keyboard. Okay, if you are typing value 5 from the keyboard, that is nothing but the input process you are doing. Now the question is whether computer understands 5. See, if we speak human beings, if I tell what is the value of 5 plus 6, you will say suddenly that is 11. Immediately you will say 11 because you people have understood that question. Okay, 5 plus 6, if both numbers are added, we get the value 11. But for computer, it doesn't understand. If you tell to the computer same thing, 5 plus 6, so computer cannot understand. So it will not give the value 11 because computer knows only one language, that is nothing but binary. That is 0 and 1. Computer knows only one language, that is 0 and 1. Then how to solve this problem? Because we want the result. For that purpose, we have considered the type concept. Type. When we give the data for the computer, it will ask for the type of this data. Type of this data. What is the type of 5? What is the type of plus? What is the type of 6? Like this. Okay. So that is nothing but the type. So now we came to know what is data. Then the next is type. So type means type of the data or a value. So for these things you can call it as either data or you can call it as a value. Because see, suppose if I type name, for example, Ravi, so this you can consider data. And if you type 5, this you can consider value. Like that. If you use data in place of value or in place of value if you use data, both are correct. Okay. Type means type of the data or a value. So definition is data type is the type of the data or a value. Understood? Data type is the type of the data or a value. So this is the definition. So first we should try to understand what is data and why type is required. Type is required because computer doesn't understand these languages, English languages. If you type 5 plus 6 or your name and all, computer doesn't understand. So for that purpose, they have designed the concept called as, they have developed the concept called as type. Then only computer can understand. Whenever we give the data for the computer, 100% it will ask for us the type. Okay. So data type is the type of the data or a value. Just I will write the definition. We come to know. Okay. So regarding notes, I will send. Don't worry. Okay. So repeat the definition. Okay. Fine. So data type. So with respect to the notes, I will not give separate time right now. If you are listening and copying, both you can do. But first preference you give for listening. Okay, so data type is the type of a data or a value. Data type is the type of the data or a value. Okay, now if I type 5 or if I type 5.25 or if I take capital letter A, all these data are not same. Okay, so 5 is not same as, not with respect to value I am telling you. Not with respect to value, because if suppose instead of writing 5.25, you write 5.00, now both values are same. Not with respect to value I am telling you, with respect to type I am telling you. Because in mathematics also we come across like in mathematics we come across, if I type 5.25 mathematics, see both numbers are put in different category. That is 5 is put in whole number, you can consider like integer number. Okay, 5.25 is put in real number. Okay, both are not considered in the same category. So integer number, real number. Same way in computer science also, we will put the numbers in different categories. We will put the values in different categories. Okay, so now if you consider 5, I can put this in category called as integer. If you consider 5.25 or 5.0, this I can put in the category real number. In computer science, technical term for this is floating point number. Okay, it is called as floating point number. So this is integer number, this is floating point number. And if suppose if I type letters, I can put in the category called as characters. Okay, and regarding characters, in detail I will tell you, because we'll get a little bit confusion if I tell now. So integer numbers, floating point. In this way, what we do, we will differentiate between the values of the keyboard. If you type digit and decimal point and fractional part, if you type your name, so these things are categorized into types. Okay, I hope you people got it. So when we type from the keyboard, computer will ask for the type of the data you typed. So for that reason, we are using the data type. Okay, so I'll write the classifications of data types, because here only just I said like integer, this is an integer number, this is a floating point number. So there is a diagram for the classification of data types. I will tell you. So this is just an example. If you consider 5, in which category you can put. If you consider 5.25, in which category you can put. If you type A, in which category you can put. This is the just an example. Okay, and when you consider the character, so you can consider like this, single quotation marks. So still accurate answer, because in the introduction to C++ chapter we have discussed, right? Character constant or character meaning, you have to put in single quotation marks. Okay. Now I'll write the classifications of data types. Okay, perfect. Those who want to copy, just within few seconds you copy, not even a minute, because we'll move it fast. So classifications, once again I will write, don't worry, just copy the definition now. Data type is the type of a data or a value. Classification you don't copy, once again I will write with examples. Okay. Okay, so now we consider the classifications of data types. Okay. I hope people came to know what is data type, right? Type of the data or a value, what we are typing from the keyboard. Okay. Now, if we consider the classifications, okay, so there are 3 main classifications. Okay, and again in that sub-classifications. 3 main classifications. That is, we can say basic data types, derived data types, user-defined data types. basic data types, derived data types, user defined data types. These are the three main classifications of data types. And in this entire chapter, we will study in detail of basic types only. With respect to derived types and user defined types, there are separate chapters. Okay. Now, coming to the basic types. Here, basic types can also be called as, basic or fundamental, okay, or simple or primitive. By these names we can call. So why did I write all these names means because in question paper, say I have given basic types. In question paper it does write the classifications of primitive types. Then we'll get it out. Because I have used only one word, right? Basic and primitive are same. So basic, fundamental, simple, primitive, all are simple. Basic type or fundamental or primitive or simple. Okay. If we consider the basic types, say classification is integer. All whole numbers from 0 to 9 what you type without using decimal point, like without typing 5.00, 5.25. If you type whole numbers, for example 21, 50, 500, okay, those numbers can be put in category called as integer. And for this we use the keyword called as int. Remember, int is the keyword. So we have discussed about keywords in the previous chapter. Keywords are the words which have predefined meaning in a language. I have given best example, just like dictionary words. In English, if you look at the dictionary, for words, there are meaning. That meaning we will not change. Then what we do, we use in our language. That is in the sentences. Without changing the meaning, we use it. Depending on the context, the meaning changes. Yes, we know it in English. But here, it's not like context, same meaning we will apply. Okay. Maybe memory changes, but meaning will not change. So, for integer, keyword is int, int. So whenever you come across integer numbers, you have to remember this keyword. In lowercase letters only, you have to write. All the letters, int, all the letters you will write in lowercase letters, that is small letters. It is not written in capital letter. So this is the first category. Next comes the floating point. Okay. So for this keyword is float. Okay. Keyword is float. The numbers of the type 5.25, 6.5, 0.5, 5.00. See, suppose if you are using after decimal point 00 also, you should put in floating point. Even though value is same, 5.00 and 5 both values are same, but I have to put in this category. Okay, not in the first category. Next, third, character. Okay, for this data type is CHLR. See, this is somewhat a special data type I can say, because when you consider the integer, okay, I said all whole numbers without decimal point. When you consider floating point numbers in the format of 5.00 is like that. But what about characters? Because see, the meaning of character is anything you can consider, either the digit or the symbol. Or the letters, capital letters or small letters. Understood? Either the digit or the symbol or capital letters, small letters. Say, for example, if you consider like 5, okay, if you put in single quotation marks. If you put in single quotation marks, it becomes character. If you don't put in single quotation marks, it becomes integer. Understood, right? So if you take the digit 5, if you put in single quotes, okay, then it becomes the character. And if you take symbol $, if you put in single quotation marks, it becomes character. If you take capital letter A, put in single quotation. If you take small letter A, put in single quotation marks. Like this. You take anything, either you take digit or symbol you take or capital letter or small letter. Anything you take, but don't forget to put in single quotes. Okay, if you put in single quotes, it becomes character. So only I said it is somewhat special type character, because all we are using. Decimal point also we are using. If you just take one point symbol, then if you put in single quotation marks, it becomes character. Got it, right? So character meaning all the things. Integers also we will come across, decimal point we come across, capital letters, small letters, symbols. All the categories we can put in character type. But one rule you have to remember is you should not forget to put in single quotation marks. If you forget to put in single quotation marks, then the meaning changes. Changes in the sense, normal meaning it will become. For example, 5. If I forget to put single quotes, then in which category I can put? In integer category only I can put. Because we forgot to put single quotation marks. Okay. So this is nothing but character. Then comes the double data type. So about this I will tell you. When I explain floating point number in detail, I will explain about the double data type. Because these two we can consider almost same data type. Floating point and double. Okay. The difference I will tell you. Next. VOID, void data type. Void meaning empty, nothing, no value. So simple meaning I will tell now, right now. In functions chapter, in detail we will study about void data. In simple words, I can say void means nothing, no value, empty. Okay. Then comes the last one, Boolean. Okay, I think you cannot see. So here I will write it. Last one, Boolean. The keyword used is bool. Okay, integer, floating point, character, double, void, Boolean. Keyword used is BOOL, bool. For this, the values what we can consider is, it's very simple. Whenever you come across true or false results, right? In the previous classes we have discussed. Either we will get the result as true or we will get the result as false. Those type of values we can put in this category. True or false. That is 1 or 0. 1 means true, 0 means false. Those things you can put in Boolean values. Okay. Don't say integer values because specially they have designed in order to indicate true and false. 1 indicates true, 0 indicates false. If you consider true and false also, it is correct. Those things you can put in Boolean category. Okay. So integer, floating point, character, double, void, Boolean. These are the basic types. So in this entire chapter, we will study in detail all these data types. Now coming to the derived data types, only we have definitions in this chapter. So only just I will give the classification person. Okay. So classifications are arrays, functions, pointers, references. So these are all chapters, individual chapters actually. Arrays and functions chapter we will study in first PUC only in detail. Okay, arrays chapter is there, functions chapter is there. With respect to pointers, only definition and one example is there in first PUC. In detail in second PUC it is there. In second PUC, one chapter itself is there, pointers. And about references also in first PUC only just one example we will see. That's all. In detail pointers and references we will discuss in second PUC. There one chapter is there. Now coming to the user defined. Okay. So user defined we come across class concept, okay, structure concept, union and enumeration. Okay. So here also in these things like class chapter, classes and objects chapter in second PUC it is there in detail. Structures chapter we will see in first PUC only. There is some separate chapter for this. And union and enumeration they have not given any description in either in first PUC or second PUC. Okay, but we can say one example of union data type and one example for enumeration data type. But they are not given in the syllabus. With respect to knowledge, we can say. Okay. So this is about data types classifications. In the notes, I will send you. Don't worry about copying. Just you can observe. So those who have copied by listening, that's well and good. Okay. So it is classifications are three main classifications are basic types, derived types, user-defined types. So basic types can be classified as integer, floating point, character, double, void, Boolean. So here I have given the keywords you should observe. Int is the keyword, okay, for integer. Float is the keyword, FLOAT. All the letters should be small letter, lowercase letter. Character, CHAR. CHAR is the meaning is character. Keyword is CHAR. Okay. Then coming to the double. For double, keyword itself is double. Okay. So if you want to make the difference, here you can write in capital letter so that meaning is double, keyword is double. So only see here I have written capital letter integer. That is normal in English. Meaning is integer, keyword is int. For void, so keyword itself is void. So that should be written in lowercase letters. So int, float, char, double, void, bool. These are the keywords we have to use. So how to use keywords? Write in lowercase letters, that is small letters. And basic types can also be called as basic or fundamental or simple or primitive. See, one word you have to remember, primitive. Wherever you come across primitive, the meaning of that is we can consider like already present. One best example I will give. If you purchase the mobile or if you purchase the vehicle, some things will be already present. Right? For example, in mobile, battery will be present already when you purchase. Okay. And in vehicle, engine will be present already. Okay. Those things will not change. What things we will change? For example, if you install extra apps in mobile, correct? So that is the change what you do. And for vehicle, for example, if you add extra mirror for the vehicle, that is the change you do. So whatever changes you do, that comes in derivative. Okay. And if you don't do any changes, which is already present, that comes in primitive. Same thing. So in C and C++, when they have developed the software C and C++, the things which have already have come with the software is these types: integer, floating, character, double, word, boolean, and this is recently added for C++. Okay. Now we move to the next topic. So just wait for a minute. You can just look at the board. So if you come across any doubts still here, you can ask.
Introduction to C++ model concept. Introduction to C++ concept.
Okay, so we'll move to the discussion of basic types. Okay, so those who have not copied, don't worry, I will send the notes. Okay. Yes, Sanjana, what is your doubt? I'm unable to see your message. It's not visible properly.
Sir, we should copy question answers in notes. She's asking for.
Yes. Yes. Those who have completed writing notes, that is chapter, complete chapter, then you can start with question and answers. Okay. And one more thing, like when offline class starts, once I will check the notes. Okay. So before that, people try to copy. If you have done with only chapter, then it's enough. If you have not written question and answer, it's okay. But at least chapter I need. Till the last topic, we should be completed, all of you. Okay, we'll check. And if any extra topics to be added for the chapter, or if any extra question and answers to be given, directly in the class only I will give. Again, I will not send as a PDF. Okay, directly in the class only I will give. Directly you can copy. Running notes you can copy. Okay, extra topics or extra question and answers of the introduction to C++ chapter. And one more thing, what you people do, see, if suppose if today or Monday if I send this chapter notes, you copy some topics, right? And once this chapter is completed, when offline class starts, if I add extra topics to the previous chapter or some extra question and answers, you need not worry, just put the chapter name and write it. Don't get too much confusion. Just put the chapter name, write the topic, or write the question and answers. Okay.
Next, so here we will discuss about basic types. So basic types are also called as basic or fundamental, okay, or simple or primitive. Primitive types. Basic types. Okay.
First of all, we should know why data type is required. This question which should arise. Why data type is required? Computer accepts input data. Okay, it will do some calculations. And why type is required? See,
one reason is why data type is required to know the type of a value. To know the type of a value.
for this reason, data type is required. This is the first reason, to know the type of the value. Because
5 and 5.25 or 5.00,
even though value is same, but both are looking like different format. Here 5, here 0.00. So both are looking in different format. So this we can put in category called as integer, and this we can put in category called as floating point. Okay, that is nothing but real number in mathematics, which contains fractional part. So this is the fractional part. After decimal point, whatever you consider, that is the fractional part. Because there is a fractional part after decimal point, so we will put in the real number category or floating point category in computer science language. So both are not so. So only for that reason only, we should know the type of the value. Okay, this is the first reason. Next, second reason. Second reason why data type is required is to know the amount of memory required. The amount of memory, that is space. Right? See, here only, I will tell the example.
When I have written 5, so how much space I have occupied in the board, on the board? Only this much, right? If I write 5.00, after decimal point I am writing 500. So this much space, after decimal point, this much space I require.
That means, so just as an example I am giving. So to store the value of 5 in computer memory, to store the value of 5.00 in computer memory, the memory taken is not same. Okay, the memory taken is not same. Value is same with respect to value, it is same, but the memory taken is not same. So only we should know the amount of memory space required to store the values in the computer memory. For that reason, data type is required. So we get a question, why data type is required? Data type is required for two reasons. First reason is to know the type of a value we are storing. Second reason is to know the amount of memory space, required to store that particular value. Based on these two reasons, so classifications have done. Okay, integer, floating point, character, and all. And now we will see which data type occupies how much amount of memory. Okay, one reason we know type of the value. Another reason to know the amount of memory. So we will now we will see int data type, how much amount of memory it occupies. Float data type, how much amount of memory it occupies. We will see. Okay.
So first data type what we can consider is integer. That is, the keyword is int.
To store integer values in a computer memory. So whenever we consider the computer memory, I hope you people remember the memory concept. Memory concept, I hope you people remember, we have discussed. And those who are not present for that class also, it's like a general knowledge. Okay, that is,
first basic storage is bits. So bits means it is 0 or 1.
basic storage it is. Okay.
Next, bytes. That is, if I say 1 byte, it is 8 bits. That is 8 zeros or 8 ones. You can consider 8 zeros or 8 ones. First basic storage is bits, that is 0 or 1. Next 1 byte means 8 bits. Next 1 KB, 1 kilobyte means 1024 bytes. This is 1 KB. Okay. Next, third, 4, 1 MB, nothing but 1024 KB, kilobytes. So 1 GB is nothing but 1024 MB. So 1 TB is equals to 1024 GB. So this is how we can consider the computer memory. So if you go from 1 TB to basic level, then we can say bits or byte. Okay. Now coming to the integer data, right? Int. What happens? Like it depends upon the computer machine. Okay. Depending on the computer machine, so int data type can occupy 2 bytes of memory. Okay. Or 4 bytes of memory. Say, for example, when you come for the offline class, if there are 60 students in one class, okay, or else we can consider 50 students in one class. And if I tell you should sit only 2 in one bench, okay, then how many benches are required? So 25 benches are required, right? 25 into 2, 50, right? That means, see, whenever we are considering about the data, next point is how much space is required. Okay, so to occupy 50 students in one class, that is sitting 2 in one bench, so we require 25 benches. Similarly, here also, if you want to store 5, or if you want to store 10, or if you want to store 100, if you want to store 500, like this, like single digit or 2-digit number, 3-digit number, 4-digit number, and so on. How much amount of space is required in computer memory? So there you can, there we cannot say like 1 paper is required or 1 bench is required like that. We have to speak in terms of bits and bytes. Okay. Regarding offline classes, you will get a message. Okay. So till you get a message, you don't worry. I think for you people from Wednesday, you may start 25th. Okay, you will get a message. Don't worry. So now we are discussing about bits, right? So we have to consider the bits and bytes in computer memory. In real world, we will consider like chair, table, book, and all. This is the memory storage. So in computer language, we have to consider like bits and bytes. So if whenever you consider int data type, so in some computer machines, it will occupy 2 bytes. 2 bytes means 16 bits. Okay, because 1 byte is equals to 8 bits, right? 1 byte equal to 8 bits. So 2 bytes means 16 bits. And if it occupies 4 bytes, 4 bytes means how many bits? 32 bits. So 8 into 4. So 8 into 2 is 16, 8 into 4 is 32 bits. So this is how we will consider the memory representation for data types. So further data types like float, char, double, void, we will discuss in the next class.